Hello, welcome back to Bet Builders on Free Super Tips. I'm, of course, Statman Dave, and today I'm joined by Will Brazier to preview all the football for Game Week 12 in the Premier League. Will, last time on the show, you didn't have quite a good time, did you? 0 bets won.
Yeah, and that's why you got me back, Dave. It was very close. I think I had Tottenham to win over 2.5 goals, but it was, of course, the massacre at the Lane when West Ham scored that screamer in the 94th minute to deny me.
Unfortunate, I bet you were fuming at the TV at that moment. But today, we're going to be talking about the Manchester derby. That is the big topic today. Of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer up against Pep Guardiola once again. If you want to check out any more tips, go on to freesupertips.com and check those all out. If you're going to follow any bets, of course, gamble responsibly. But let's talk about last time. How did we do? So game week 11, we picked up 4 wins. David Cartledge, of course, picking one up in the Man City game. FST picking up 2 wins, one in the Leicester City game, one in the Spurs game. And I, of course, picked Spurs to win. And, of course, Harry Kane to score. Simple as you like. Shall we get into the bet building?
Yes, please.
First up, we've got to go for Leeds United versus West Ham United. It's a bit of a big game in terms of West Ham. They outplayed United in the first half, not so much in the second half. And Leeds put in a good account of themselves against Chelsea. This is big, though, if either team wants to go for Europe, Will.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, West Ham have surprised me so much. I mean, even that first half performance, they could have had 3 or 4 if Haller hadn't fell on his arse. So I think they're just very surprising. And Leeds as well. I think everyone expected them to play the way they played, but to actually come and do it at Stamford Bridge against Man City and everything like that, it's brilliant to see.
I think it's quite interesting. If West Ham win this game, they'll be up to 5th in the Premier League. If Leeds win this game, they'll be 11 on points with West Ham, Everton and Wolves. But let's dive straight into the bets. Let's get in two-footed to build some bets. Will, what have you got for me in your first bet today?
So I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay.
I think it's almost going to be a bit like that United game, tale of two halves. West Ham have sort of, even the Villa game where they won, they sort of struggled to keep that momentum throughout, and VAR decision pending, they managed to get the result. So we've gone 2-2. Bamford and Bowen to get on the score sheets. Bowen looked incredible, and Bamford's just found his Premier League feet, hasn't he?
He does. Patrick Bamford, of course, scoring against his former club Chelsea last week. 45-1. That is a massive bet that you have built there, Will. Bowen, I like Bowen. I thought he had a good game against Manchester United. Caused Alex Telles a lot of problems going forward. West Ham's top scorer in the Premier League this season. So that is a very concise bet, but I do like it. Let's move on to my bet. I've gone completely the other way. I'm backing Leeds United to win the game. I just feel Leeds, they're starting to really go. And West Ham will give them the ball. West Ham are ranked around 18th in the Premier League for possession. I think Leeds have got enough quality in that situation. Over 4.5 goals in the game. We're looking at Leeds for expected goals are ranked 3rd, and they're 2nd for expected goals against. And a little bit of Rafinha. Do you like Rafinha?
I like Rafinha. Very fast, very good on the ball. Good little FIFA card on him, an ultimate team as well. So always got to keep a lookout for that. But I mean, do you like him as a United fan?
Yeah, I think he's a good player. You've got to respect what Bielsa's done with certain players. He's obviously been signed from Rennes. And he looks like the spark in the final third against Chelsea. Completed 6 out of his 8 dribbles. That was what you were kind of talking about there. So I feel like he's going to come alive in this game when Leeds United have so much of the ball. Let's jump over to Free Super Tips and check out where they're going for this key match. Leeds draw double chance, both teams to score on over 2.5. So slightly, it's kind of a combination of our 2 bets, but a little bit defensive.
I think we've gone down. I've gone extreme, and then we've sort of worked our way down to the more concise. And I mean, that's where your knowledge is right there.
That is the knowledge. I do like it. I think the likes of Bamford, Bowen, Mikel Antonio could be back. There's goals going to be in this game. That's what I can kind of guarantee on a Friday night in the Premier League. I do like it, but I kind of think Leeds. I'm backing Leeds in this situation.
Yeah, I can see it, but I don't know. I think I keep writing off West Ham, and I don't want to do it again, especially as we are being recorded.
Next up, we've got the Midlands derby. Wolves against Aston Villa in the Premier League. Last season, Wolves took the spoils in both games, beating Villa 2-1 at home and 1-0 away. Of course, they've also had 12 days to relax and rest. Coming into this game, it's got to be a massive advantage for Grealish and co.
It has, but there's just something when Villa have been going up against, I mean, maybe some would say Wolves are a top 6 team, but there's just something that Villa's not clicking against. I mean, it's easy if they play Liverpool, Man City's, and they come alive then. So it's just something not right there for me, Dave.
So you think when Villa have got the ball, when they've got the initiative, that they kind of struggle. And I think we're looking at Wolves, of course, they kind of played a little bit with a back 4 for 2 games. Now they're back to that back 5. They will play on the counter-attack.
Yeah, I think, and if Wolves can notice that, which I'm sure they will, I think it could be an easy Wolves win.
Easy Wolves win as well. Without Raul Jimenez, of course, a massive miss. But he is improving back at home now, which is great news. But you're looking at Nuno going with a pretty fluid attack. Neto, Podence, Traore, that could cause Villa some problems on the break.
Well, it's even how they adjusted in that Arsenal game. Obviously, even just on an emotional level, to see your teammate go off like that, but them to respond and Fabio Silva come on. I know he didn't score that day, but they reacted really well.
They did, and I think Adama was big for the 2 moments in the game that really turned it, the 2 goals. Adama kind of started those 2 moves and moments. Let's take a look at the bets that we're building for this game. Let's dive into those. Going to go correct score 1-0, Wolves half-time, Wolves full-time.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, I know there was the big defeat against Liverpool in the last game, but I sort of think it's going to be that classic sort of tight at the back sort of response, net luffing in. And if we said like they give Villa the ball, they might not have a lot of possession, but I think it'll be tight and they'll sneak a little 1-0.
Cheeky little 1-0. Of course, the last time, obviously last season with Villa's midfield's massively improved. I looked at the midfield last year, this year it's just such contrast in terms of selection and team. You're looking at Barkley as well as Grealish. Both players can create stuff. Both players have got a forward now they can play to. So let's take a look at my bet right now. We've gone Wolves to win the match and Pedro Neto anytime. Big fan of Pedro Neto.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I do like him.
Tell me why.
I think in terms of what he does, he's an aggressive little player. He wins the ball back, but as well on the ball. Very creative, very technical. And if you're looking at Wolves players in the Premier League this season, he's been directly involved in more goals than any other player. So I think if anyone's going to step up without Raul Jimenez, it's going to be Pedro Neto.
I fancy throwing Fabio Silva in there for a little Midlands derby.
I think Fabio Silva might come off the bench a bit of an impact. I like Fabio Silva as well. I think he's a very good little forward. But I just think they'll go without a striker. A bit of that false 9 vibe. Maybe Daniel Podence through the middle. Neto wide left. You're looking at Traore wide right. Could be quite good. Let's take a look at free super tips bet for this game. They've gone Villa, draw, double chance. Under 2.5 goals and Grealish to score any time.
I mean, I should caveat all this. I am a Birmingham City fan, so if there's any sort of grimace on my face, that is why. So I'd rather stay clear of this one if that's okay.
Stay clear of this one. I do like it. Villa were playing very well. They've been very good in certain games, very bad in other games. They like to keep things tight, and Grealish is just a man that's in such confidence and form right now. Great player to watch. Yeah. Aesthetically very pleasing.
And I think the biggest one you mentioned as well is having Barkley back as well, if he's going to be back for this one, just to sort of, I think it gives Jack a bit more freedom as well.
So now let's move on to the next game. That is Newcastle versus West Brom. Unfortunately, I can only really see this going one way. And that is a win for Steve Bruce and Newcastle United. Because West Brom are without Matheus Pereira. So important for them going forward.
Yeah, I mean, even watching that game against Crystal Palace, they started so... Well, they didn't start as bad as they finished. But yeah, he's an integral part to their creativity. And yeah, 3 games ban, it's just... with that defence as well. I mean, their best defence seemed to be attack to start with, and he was the linchpin of that. Exactly.
Well, they've conceded the most goals in the Premier League this season. And if you're looking at Matheus Pereira as a player, only Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, James Rodriguez and Jack Grealish have created more chances in the Premier League this season. He is massively important, especially from set pieces. When you take in 3 of the 8 goals they've scored have been from set pieces. But let's dive into the bet straight away. Hopefully you've not gone for West Bromwich Albion after talking that. You've got Newcastle to win, Wilson anytime, Newcastle half-time, Newcastle full-time, a whopping 5-1. I like that bet, Will.
I just think it's going to be comprehensive, and that's why I've gone for the half-time, full-time. Didn't put a score on it, but yeah, 5-1, do fancy that. Wilson scored in his last game, so he's a bit of a, I wouldn't say streaky, but any striker that's scoring and has got on a bit of a run of form is bound to bag a goal.
It's confidence. I think that's the big thing with Callum Wilson as well. They did have 12 days rest. Of course, they've had a certain situation at their training camp, but they've also not played for, they've had a bit of a break. So it could be quite interesting to see how this kind of lines up. My bet is boring as anything, though. Let's jump onto that right now. We've got Newcastle to win to 0 and over 1 goal in the game at 6-1. So a boring bet, but a bet that looks quite good.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly, didn't you? No Pereira, no attacking threat. Who's going to bang in the goal? I mean, Karlan Grant's not had the best start, and you wouldn't exactly be intimidated if you're a Newcastle backline by him, would you?
Absolutely not. And I think that's the side of it, that Newcastle are a bit of a scrappy team in a sense. And every game that we've kind of spoke about on this show and they've won the game, it's always been like a result against Everton. It's been a result, like a horrible battling result. And I think this is going to be exactly the same come the weekend. Let's take a look at free super tips bet as well. Let's see where they're going. They're going Newcastle to win the game, under 2.5 goals in the game, Wilson anytime. So a bit of a combo of our bets. A low scorer, Wilson, the absolute bagsman for them going forward.
Yeah, no, I think there's some good value to be had in this game.
It is now time for game of the weekend. The big one, the Manchester derby. This is huge for both teams. The winner of this is in the title race. The loser is in the bin.
You're saying United are in a title race?
They potentially could be. If you're looking at the points, they've got a game in hand.
I don't think United will ever be in a title race this season, Dave.
Absolute savagery right now, and I can't even respond to it. But who would you say is best equipped to win this game? Man City or Manchester United in their current form?
Well, Manchester City. I mean, we're filming this after Manchester United have been dumped out of the Champions League. They're in the Europa League Thursday night, so that's got to be on the head. Ollie's got a good record against Pep, hasn't he? I mean, last season, the league games and even the Carabao Cup games where he won at the Etihad as well. So it screams Manchester City, but there's just something weird about Man United this season that they could go and spring another surprise.
A little bit of a hoodoo.
Yeah, something like that.
A little bit of a hoodoo. But both sides, the most influential player is their number 10. We're talking Kevin De Bruyne for City, Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. This season, who's been the better player?
My opinion, or are you going to hit me with some stats?
Your opinion. Yeah, I'll let you pick.
I probably would say, just based on the scenario and where he's at, probably Bruno, because he is carrying a lot on his back. He's only a little fella. He's got to carry a lot of stuff with him. So probably on that basis, Bruno Fernandes.
Great answer, Will. I can't argue with that. That's what the stats say as well. So let's move on to the bets. There's nothing else we need to talk about on this matter. Simple as that. Straight away, you're going to go with the match result draw and Fernandes anytime. So you're backing the man.
Yeah, Man City, I think, will win, but it's just that weird hoodoo that Ollie's got with Pep, and it's just something that I couldn't really push Manchester City all the way. And with Fernandes on set pieces and penalties like that, and United's record with penalties, I think that they could grab a little one.
Well, nice. This is a bit defensive.
No?
I think you've got to back one of the teams. I think this is a defensive bet, and I've gone in two-footed here.
Oh,
I have gone in two-footed in my bet builder. We're going to go Manchester United draw double chance. Marcus Rashford anytime.
Wow.
So, I'll hit you with some numbers, some facts and figures. First up, Manchester United, of course. You mentioned last season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer beat Pep Guardiola 3 times.
Yeah.
League double, of course the Carabao Cup, second leg. We're talking Marcus Rashford, 6 goals. That's wrong. We're talking Marcus Rashford, 3 goals in 6 games against Manchester City. He's only scored more against Chelsea. But also the penalties. There will be penalties in this game. Since the start of last season, Manchester United have won the most penalties in the league with 18. City have won the 3rd most with 14. Great stats you had before. But I think that's going to be a Manchester United win with a penalty. And a Marcus Rashford goal. Simple as you like. Let's take a look at FST's bet here. Most goals in the second half. So it's going to be one that warms up. Both teams to score, yes. And Marcus Rashford to score any time. Marcus Rashford, it should probably be called the Marcus Rashford derby because every time he scores, Man United win, which is quite a nice one, Will.
Well, you're a Manchester lad, Dave, as well. It's just nice to have that sort of that local affinity in the derby. I mean, especially with all the talent from the world down there. There's a local Manchester lad who the lads think is going to get on the score sheet. The
big one as well, most goals in the second half. We've seen Manchester United score a lot of goals after the 86th minute. It's a weird minute to score goals after, but that's where they seem to come alive. Can you see that happening in this game?
I mean, a Pep Guardiola side's well drilled and well sort of focused and concentrated. So in any normal situation, I could say yes. But I just don't know, Man City. Pep, he's a bit of a magician, isn't he? So you just never know you never know what's going on with the old fitness.
On to the evening kickoff in the Premier League. 8 o'clock. It's a big one. Everton versus Chelsea. Big game for Carlo Ancelotti, of course, former manager of Chelsea, now Everton boss. I think they've lost 4 out of the last 6 games. Their title challenges, sort of recent memory of the past. But you're looking at Carlo Ancelotti. What do you think he needs to do?
I mean, this year we've had Tiger King, coronavirus, and in this year we had an Everton title push. They all seem distant memories now. I watched them against Burnley. They created few and far between. Yeah, I don't worry for them, but yeah, even a European push might be a bit of a struggle right now.
I think the big thing we've previously said on the show, Luca Dean, massive miss. So important for them. But I actually quite like what Richarlison was doing in the second half. It looked like he was taking a wider position, dribbling with the ball, cutting inside as a bit of an inverted winger. In terms of the statistics, he created the most chance on the pitch, the most dribbles as well, and got an assist for the goal. I quite like him. Could you see him being used, instead of being a bit of a goal-scoring forward, as a more of a creative forward out wide?
I think so, yeah. And that's where the goal came from at the weekend against Burnley. But even just I think it was Fabian Delph that got injured, wasn't it? They changed the system, and straight away, I think Richarlison was straight through the middle. He was just being, like you said, a better creative force. So whatever that change was, maybe that needs to be sticking.
Yeah, I think it was they moved Ben Godfrey to left fullback. He sort of just held his position, and then Richarlison was holding that width, which allowed them a little bit more freedom, especially in the middle. You're talking James Rodriguez operating in that central space, and Iwobi at right wing back. It worked a lot better, but again, it's like simple mistakes for Everton that's frustrating at the moment. Like the goal that they gave away, simple possession in the middle third. Jordan Pickford, The analysis on his goalkeeping was really questioned there. Weight on the wrong foot, can't spring across the goal, sloppy stuff there. But Chelsea, they mounted an impressive comeback against Leeds last weekend with Olivier Giroud. Key component to that. Do you think he should start against Everton?
I think with Olivier Giroud, obviously, I was going to say he's underrated, but after this last week, everyone's been singing his plaudits. But he's got his goal scoring in, but he brings into play all those creative players as well. So they've got an abundance of them. So I think he is almost the perfect man, especially for the rest of this season. Definitely.
I think one guy they're going to miss though is Hakim Ziyech. He's out injured. When Chelsea didn't have him, they looked like a bit of a broken force in the final third. A lot of crosses coming from fullback, no one to really link the play and open up the door. Who can step in to that position for them? We're talking maybe Kai Havertz can play right wing, Pulisic to come in. What's the best option?
Yeah, we've got Hudson-Odoi, who I watched against, I think it was Seville, and he looked phenomenal as well, or maybe was it Rennes. But even Mason Mount, maybe the pressure doesn't have to come from that far right wing side. Obviously, you've got Reece James providing the cross for Giroud the other day, so there's a lot of creativity there, so I wouldn't be too worried for Chelsea.
Let's dive into the bets.
Yes, go on.
Let's see how worried you are about this, if you're going to back Carlo Ancelotti's Everton or Frank Lampard's Chelsea. So you're going bold, a correct score, 1-3, which does mean you're back in Chelsea.
Yes, I am back in Chelsea. I think just based on Everton's form, I know we spoke a bit about the tactical change that Everton did, but again, this is Burnley and they're not exactly pulling up trees this season. Timo Werner, I've put in more out of an emotional attachment because after he denied Olivier Giroud last weekend from some absolute
magic defending.
Yeah, some magic defending. That's not one way of putting it. Fancy to back himself to score again.
So it's an interesting one. It was very emotional for me with Timo Werner coming to the Premier League at the start of the season. Brother Timo.
Yeah.
Wanted him to do well. Obviously the family getting a lot of hype going in the WhatsApp chat and those types of things. Flattered to deceive at the start of the season. But he's recently started climbing the XG charts.
Nice.
Something that I've been watching like a hawk this season. So currently he's ranked 11th in the Premier League, the highest of his rank of the season.
Got you.
So he's starting to get chances, getting into good goal-scoring positions. Yeah, he might miss it, might scuff it on the line, but I think goals will come there. I do like that bet. 3-1 away for Chelsea win. I've gone slightly different though. I'm going to go with a draw.
Wow, Dave.
I think the Hakim Ziyech thing is really, really important. You think since he came into the side, he created more big chances than any other Chelsea player in the Premier League. We already spoke about the impact of Werner. I think Calvert-Lewin is just the best striker in the league for me right now, bar Harry Kane. And I'd say that that's a good tussle at the moment in terms of pure goal scorer versus Kane's maybe more creativity, as well as the goals when he's got the highest non-penalty XG in the league, and of course, top scorer. So not even just beating the XG charts, he's actually scoring the goals, Will.
Yeah, even you go think back, I know Chelsea won 3-1 in the end, but the way Bamford and the Leeds team got at Chelsea.
And got chances.
And they got chances, so there is cracks there to be found, and Everton do have creativity.
I think that's the thing. I think Everton will maybe go ahead, Chelsea to fight back. Classic Premier League game on a Saturday evening. Let's take a look at FST's bet as well. How have they built their bet? How have they structured? They've gone Chelsea to win the game, both teams to score, and Calvert-Lewin anytime. We're backing the Everton number 9.
Yeah, one thing that strikers need is confidence, and Calvert-Lewin's got it in absolute loads, hasn't he, at the moment? So I do agree with that one, actually. I wish I'd have put that on myself.
Next up, we've got Southampton up against Sheffield United. Bad news for the Blades. Danny Ings is back. Came off the bench for Southampton in the last game against Brighton, of course. Scored the winner, didn't he? But we've got to talk about the most underrated strike partnership in the Premier League. Could be re-emerging. You're looking at Che Adams and, of course, Danny Ings. Together, they've looked really good as a pair.
Yeah, with my Birmingham hat on, it's great to see Shea finally succeeding. It was sort of the tail end of last season. After the lockdown, he sort of came into life with that screamer against Manchester City. But it's perfect because he's played sort of behind the striker before. So for someone like Danny Ings, he can really focus on doing what he does best. And Shea's hopefully going to be providing assists and goals now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really dynamic and good. And Sheffield United, unfortunately for me, it's curtains.
Yeah,
I would say. Let's dive straight into the bets.
Curtains are on the way back though, Dave.
Curtains are on the way back, but Sheffield United very much aren't on their way back into this. Of course, your bet Southampton to win the match, both teams to score, no.
Yeah, what was it? Ollie McBurney had his 20th chance and finally got his first goal of the season last weekend. Even the Ryan Brewster signing, I was excited about. Seeing him in the Championship could turn like something into nothing, but it just hasn't really produced. And when you look over the halfway line and see someone like Danny Ings who can do that, it'll be a bit scary.
Yeah, I think Danny Ings to score any time is a nice bet. The gunman returns, as I've got on the notes. You're looking at his shooting goals added numbers this season. He's got the best any striker in the league. That is looking at the quality of finishing off chances. A very detailed statistic, but Ings is the best centre forward in the league. So he's a player that's just going to score goals. I do like the note, both teams to score. No, you're looking at Sheffield United. They only scored 5 goals in 11 games, but also conceded 18. And again, I feel like, you're looking at Swansea City. Ryan Brewster had chances there. This Sheffield United team at the moment is just trading little. Let's jump over to my bet. I'm also backing Southampton and Ings anytime. I actually like your both teams to score. No, I would have thrown that in myself to boost the odds in the bet that I've built. But I can't do that now because we're right here, right now, sitting here talking about what we've done. Let's take a look at Free Super Tips bet as well. See where they've gone down the lines of and how they're going to open this game up. They've gone Southampton to win to 0 and Danny Ings every time. So I think we're I don't know. But of course, bet responsibly here, guys. Seems like a bit of a tap-in. It's now time to talk about Jose Mourinho and Tottenham Hotspur. Title favourites.
I mean, I was going to say it's just come out of nowhere, but I think it was something always in the back of people's heads that they thought Spurs should be doing under Jose Mourinho, but he's actually doing it.
It is pretty bonkers. You think the recent results? The results against the likes of Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal.
And the clean sheets as well.
That is a very, very nice point. We're not going to talk about that right now, but we'll bring that back in a second. Since the restart, of course, Spurs have picked up more points than any other side in the Premier League. They are the form team in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and you just finally Spurs have sort of got that identity back since obviously Pochettino left. When Jose first took over, it was a bit, what are we doing here? But I mean, all I've heard is low block over the last couple of weeks about Jose Mourinho, and it's. If it's a low block that works, it's a low block that will take.
See, what they should be talking about is the medium block is absolutely superb. The wingers high up the pitch, counter-attacking options. That is the key part of Jose's strategy and system that's slightly changed versus Manchester United and his approach there. But we've got to talk about Crystal Palace.
Oh, yeah.
They scored 5 goals.
Yeah.
5 goals. Last time out, Zaha and Benteke getting a brace each. Has Roy Hodgson just been like, lads, just go out there, play your own game, relax, score some goals?
I mean, the fact that Crystal Palace were made to look like Barcelona and Benteke looked like Prime R9, I mean, just says probably more about West Brom than it does Crystal Palace. But, I mean, it was 1-1, wasn't it, in the red card? Yeah. And some teams would struggle to break other teams down, but they did it. They'll have confidence from that. And a Roy Hodgson team that's scoring 5 goals away from home should be giving people a lot of things to worry about, I think, Dave.
Absolutely. Are you worried, though, with your bet, Will? That's the real question. Are you going to be backing Wilfred Zaha? Roy Hodgson?
Should we have a little look?
Let's take a little look. Let's dive into the bet. Spurs to win the match and over 2.5. So, no.
Just slightly modest from me. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think when I've been watching Spurs this season, it's been in those big games and where that counter sort of attacking low block and everything comes into it. So it'd be interesting to see. I almost sort of worry for them a little bit more in these types of games where they've got to break teams down. And sort of take the initiative that way. But
you've gone big goals, though.
I've gone big goals because I think with Crystal Palace, I think they played a back 4 of Gary Cahill and Czech Coyote the other day, and with Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, and everyone else you want to add to the mix, that should easily break down that back 4.
Interesting. Let's take a look at my bet. Slightly different, okay. A little bit different to what you got there. Of course, the Spurs to win the game. I think they are the form team in the league. You've just got to back them. Heung-min Son anytime.
Got you.
This is a guy that just keeps breaking the models. Like, he's got a chance conversion of 48% this season. The chance that he took against Arsenal wasn't really a chance.
Yeah.
It just banged it in from 30 yards. A great goal. But I think he's a player that keeps scoring. And I think, again, he could be the guy here to nick a goal, maybe, be a bit of a scrappy goal. In terms of what I've gone with the under 3.5, so you've gone over 2.5, I've gone under 3.5. So the thing you mentioned before, the clean sheets, Spurs have been absolutely sensational. You're talking the last time they conceded a goal was Brighton. Wow. That's 5 games ago. And underrated, we know Jose's going to be good defensively.
Yeah.
But it's taken a bit of time for him to get his back 4 set for the 2 players ahead that are massively important, Højbjerg and, of course, Sissoko. They are massive for this Spurs team defensively. And I just think, look, this could be a game where Spurs will win it and be a low scorer. And I should have maybe even gone under 2.5 if I was being a little bit more crazy. 9-2, a defensive bet there. Let's take a look at Free Super Tips bet because they may go a little bit more offensive or maybe even more a little bit defensive. Let's see what they've got in their bet builder. So they've gone Spurs to win the game, Kane anytime, Son anytime. That's just a simple bet this season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fantasy football player, that's what you'd be backing anyway if you've been looking at the points there. And I just think, although what you said about Spurs and maybe not keeping the clean sheets and offensively maybe not there, I just think with the Palace's back line, that's there to be got.
It's quite an interesting bet builder from FST. It's almost like they've just copy and pasted it from last week because this was a winner last time out. So again, we could see that coming down. You're looking at Kane as well, so fresh this season.
Yeah, stick to what you know, Dave, innit?
Stick to what exactly
you're
you know.
onto a winner. Double down on it. That's what I always say anyway.
Liverpool dispatched Wolverhampton Wanderers 4-0 last time out. This time they've got to go to Fulham, who just look like they're good at conceding goals. They're second in the league for conceding goals this season. I think it's time for Jurgen Klopp to bring back Jota, Salah, Firmino and Sadio Mane in a 4-2-3-1.
I mean, I think with the Fulham game against Manchester City, they went 2-0 down after about 20-25 minutes, and I was worried for them. I mean, the keeper in there kept them in it a little bit as well, so maybe they can take solace from that. But yeah, I mean, for Liverpool to put 4 past Wolves off the back of them beating Arsenal at the Emirates and not full strength, I'm just thinking about it, Dave. I'm getting worried for Fulham already.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit worried for Fulham. Let's just jump straight into the bets, Will, and see what you've got, because I think that is the interesting point here. I think Liverpool, heavily favourites in the game. You've got Liverpool to win the game, Liverpool to win by 4 or more goals. You think this is going to be an absolute hammering?
Yeah, I do. And I think as long as they can get 1 or 2 early on, I think then Fulham will start to
crumble.
Yeah, I mean, even like Wolves, wasn't it? It wasn't until the end of the game where Liverpool sort of really asserted their dominance and stuck them all in. But yeah, I really do worry. Maybe saving grace is at the Craven Cottage, but I'm really clutching at straws.
Absolutely. I think the thing with the Man City game last time out with Fulham, it was almost like Man City were fine with the 2-0 win. They kind of like stood off and they just, yeah, that's fine. We'll control possession. Liverpool aren't going to do that.
No.
Liverpool, when they smell blood, they smell blood. And when you look at the quality they've got on the bench, I think there's a real chance of a hammering here. My bet is very much similar to your bet, Will, in terms of you're looking at a Liverpool win. But also, I've gone with the holy trinity of goal scorers. Jota, Mane and Salah anytime in the game.
Wow.
This is big. Of course, Sadio Mane's got 4 goals in the league so far. Probably should have a few more. Jota's on 5. And of course, Salah's on 9. Tasty, right?
Yeah, very tasty. I mean, Mane should have had a goal the other day that was given as an own goal, but it was basically his, wasn't it? Salah speaks for itself, and Jota's the man in form at the moment, Dave.
Really, really is. So I think that's, it's a bit of a open door. Let's go and have everyone bagging the goals. But I just think this Fulham team, defensively, we mentioned before, second worst record in the league in terms of goals conceded. It's not looking good. Let's move on to FST's bet as well. Let's see how wild they've gone. They've got Liverpool to win the game, Liverpool to score in both halves, and Salah anytime. It's quite nice.
Yeah, I think that's the one, isn't it? The scoring in both halves as well, which sort of bumps those odds up, but I think we're all agreed it's going to happen.
Arsenal. What a mess they are right now. They lack fight, creativity, passion, heart, and now they're playing Burnley in the Premier League, who are going to bring all those things in abundance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the staggering thing, I think Jamie Carragher pointed out, people were saying that Arsenal had done well because they had the possession, but Dave, the stats do lie in this case because they just didn't create anything. And I think it was just like, if you were watching the game, you just felt, worried for Arsenal.
You really do. I think that's the side of it. You look at the intensity. The big thing for me was the crossing.
Right.
Over and over and over again. Hanging balls up to Lacazette and Aubameyang. 2 of the forwards in the Premier League that I would put as, you want to put the ball to their feet. You want to get it into the box. You want to whip it in. It's just the decision-making is poor. Look at both of those goals as well that Tottenham score. Both times it's Bellerin puts in a very, very poor ball. The first one is a cutback, or the second one's the cutback that Aubameyang wants it in behind. The first one's just an aimless ball into the box that Spurs just break on you. You've got to be better in the final third there. You've got to be more creative in the final third there. Like, I'm looking at Willie and I'm looking at any of the central midfielders to do something.
Yeah, and even throwing balls into that Spurs back line, they might not be good with their feet, but they are physical and will win those balls, so...
Again, you don't understand it, do you? You look at the physical impact of both Sissoko and Højbjerg as well, that are very good area relief for 2 central midfielders. Just seems like a crazy strategy, and I honestly feel sorry for Mikel Arteta. I think the players are really letting him down at the moment with their decision-making on the pitch.
I don't really feel sorry for him, Dave. I mean, it's his mess and he needs to sort it out. He started well and now he's playing that formation and the way they did against Spurs. I think you've got to have a long hard look at yourself in the mirror.
That is brutal. But let's dive into the bets. Are you backing Mikel Arteta for this game?
No, I'm throwing him under the bus, Dave. I'm going for a Burnley win. A classic, Dave. Smash and grab by Burnley. Soak up the pressure that Arsenal will undoubtedly bring. Obviously, they are at home. We'll be on the front foot. But Burnley to soak it all up. Ring it out, and then a little Chris Wood goal on the break for me.
Okay, nice. Very, very nice. Chris Wood, a man that needs to get into form, had a really good chance last week.
Yeah.
Slid through. Jordan Pickford made a technically poor save, but it was a good save because it didn't go in the back of the net. So chances in this game for the likes of Chris Wood. Do you think that physicality up against Rob Holding and Gabriel, are they going to like it? Are they going to want that fight? In terms of my bet, I'm also going to go with Burnley.
Yeah.
I just can't see Arsenal doing everything. I'm going to go over 1 goal in the game. I think it's going to be El smash and grab. You're looking at the bet I wanted to put on would be 40 or more crosses for Arsenal. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that, but if you can get that, whatever you find in it, maybe put that on as well. Mix it into the bet.
I think the one for me was to speak to Burnley on a positive note is having Robbie Brady back as well.
That's big. From
set pieces and even the goal that he scored at the weekend as well. He's got sort of quality that goes under the radar, I think.
One of those underrated players. Dwight McNeil as well looked quite good in that game. Again, could cause Arsenal some problems on the counter-attack. You're looking at the space that Bellerin and Tierney gave up. Very unlike those two players, because I am a fan of both those players. Let's jump on to free super tips and see if they're going to back Arsenal. They've not. They've gone Burnley draw, double chance, under 2.5 goals in the game.
Nice that.
I think we've really committed here. Hard.
Well, you can only say what you see, can't you, Dave? And over the last months, Arsenal have not been at the races, and that's like with the ball, without the ball, on the pitch or off the pitch.
And finally, we've got to move on to the last game of the weekend. That is Leicester City up against Brighton. Brighton like the ball, not creative enough in the final third. The clear-cut chances are not getting in those areas. It's been a bit of a problem. The forwards aren't scoring, misfiring. And Jamie Vardy this seems the perfect game from a team that likes possession, that can get hit in behind. You look to pump the ball into the channels. This has got a Vardy hat-trick written all over it.
I don't know. There's something about Leicester, and I mean, I hope there's some stats to back me up, Dave. There's something that I can't really fully get behind them. Obviously, like league position, they're not doing too bad. Obviously, great win away at Sheffield United, but there's just something that doesn't feel really comprehensive about them, especially going into this crazy December where we've got game after game after game. They've got Europe as well. There's just something I'm a little bit worried about because I like Leicester. Yeah,
I think, looking at the back three, we spoke about that previously on the show, I think that's an issue. They need another midfielder in there. They're not creating chances consistently. You're not getting that, effort from fullback that we saw at the start of the season. James Justin going forward, Castagna going forward, Ricardo Pereira's only just back. So I think that's a level of Leicester City. They're just not quite there as a team. And I do think Ndidi back in the side, you're going to get a lot of positive. And I think the Christmas break is going to be actually when Leicester maybe sort themselves out and look more convincing, as you're saying. Because Jamie Vardy's XG is around 4.
Right.
But he scored so many penalties.
Oh, okay.
So, looking at his XG without the penalties, obviously around 4.04. That's not great. So I think that's something they need to start creating chances. But I think for me in this game, it's going to be about a counter-attacking display. Harvey Barnes carrying, supporting Jamie Vardy, maybe Maddison in the goals again. Will, have you got him in your bet?
Well, let's have a look at it, Dave. Obviously, he did get the assist against Sheffield United in the last one. But I've gone for a ball draw.
A ball draw? With Vardy to score?
A ball score draw.
A ball score draw, Vardy to score?
Yeah, I think it just ties back to that sort of just not being fully sort of invested in Leicester at the moment. But as soon as Vardy gets a goal, hopefully he gets back on the same sort of streak that The Undertaker had at WrestleMania.
Well, that is a very, very good point. The Undertaker, very underrated wrestler. Let's jump on to my bet as well. I've gone slightly different. I'm not going to be sitting on the fence. I'm going to Leicester to win. Vardy anytime. I just think Vardy, the goals, the penalties.
Yeah.
You're looking at the stat we mentioned before about Man United and City getting a lot of penalties. Leicester are ranked second in the Premier League since the start of the season. Just means that Vardy's going to get more chances from the 12-yard death strike. So it's an interesting one there. Let's move on to free super tips. Last bet builder of the day. Leicester City to win, under 2.5 goals, and Vardy anytime. So not the greatest game we're going to see, the final game in the Premier League.
Yeah, Brighton I think they've not put the full 90-minute package together, have they? They beat Villa, and even that Southampton game, they started well, but it just always seems to be a tale of two halves or
three halves or
four quarters, Dave.
Absolutely. I do like this bet though. I think that it could be a real cagey affair. And again, we've all backed Vardy, so maybe that's something you guys need to do at home. So there we have it. We have built some more bets on free super tips. Guys, make sure to subscribe if you're new and gamble responsibly. Will, where can the good people at home find you?
Just follow me on Twitter or on the streets of Manchester.
Wonderful. And guys, we'll see you next time to build some more bets.